Today we are in the astrology corner of this TikTok, and I want to talk briefly about the planet Mercury. Today is Friday, and Venus and Mercury are friendly, so I think it's a good day to record it. And I think that one of the reasons why I can have some unique insights regarding Mercury is because my South Node is in Gemini, which represents past life mastery of the significations of planet Mercury. So, the understanding can be helpful. Technically, the theory that I'm about to give to you is derived from Vedic wisdom, but, sometimes what's true is just true. And what matters here is understanding Mercury's position in the order of what is called the lunar mansions or nakshatras in Vedic astrology. And the reason why it's so important is because people misunderstand Mercury's nature as more positive and bubbly than it really is, and they skip on its more deep and sinister meaning. So in Vedic astrology, Mercury in the order of nakshatras comes after Saturn. So we start Mercury always with understanding of Saturn's wisdom and Saturn's stage. And that is visible especially if somebody has Mercury ruled nakshatras in their chart, such as Ashlesha, Jyeshta, or Revati. And the common theme in those nakshatras is the theme of family abuse. There was something unhealthy in the family dynamics in some shape or form. Why? It's because Saturn is the planet of karma. It's the planet of trials and tribulations and difficulties, and the cross you carry, the karmic weight that you carry. And coming from Saturn, we start our lives with that burden. So very often in our childhoods, we are still kind of immersed in the previous nakshatra stage, which, represents hardship quite plainly. And people underestimate that in their very early years, Mercury nakshatra natives are, especially with their moon nakshatra, come from a lot of hidden toxic family situations. So the family may appear normal to the outside world, but it's not that good on the inside, And so this kid goes into the school environment, and the goal of Mercury and the karmic wisdom behind Mercury is evening out the playing field. What does that mean? Saturn is very calculating. And what is the circumstance behind Saturn is that we suffer because we are put in unfair, unequal circumstances. Why does anyone have the power to abuse us? Because they are our parent, for starters. Maybe because they're our parent and we're a child, so they have the advantage of age and money, practical circumstances, and societal approval to hurt us. And because the abuse goes unnoticed, and because there's no one else to take care of us. So basically, abuse here happens when there's the advantage of one person used against another person. And Saturn rules surviving despite that. But in the Mercury nakshatra, because Mercury is a benefic, we don't want to just survive, we want to thrive, and we want to experience something positive. We want to experience positive exchanges, which is what I think Mercury is more known for, more so the end stage of it, the goal, right? So there's a lot of planning and scheming going on here, where we try desperately through trial and error and gaining various skills to improve our position in order to get away from the Saturn stage and be able to approach whatever situation that came to us that was difficult from an even playing field. And that can be very difficult, and it can improve more so after you set to maturation, which is when you're around age 36, or around your Mercury maturation, which is around age 32. So that can be the time where you are old enough, where finally you don't feel like you're so much below your bullies and your abusers, whoever that was, that you don't stand a chance in opposing them. You may feel like you finally have enough independence, enough say, and like you have, as I said before, leveled out the playing field enough so that you can stand your ground. That doesn't mean that you necessarily tower over them. That is more so the merit of the next nakshatra stage, which is the South Node Ketu. Ketu is the one that tames and puts the abusers back in their place. But in Mercury, at least we know that if we don't want to, we don't have to associate ourselves with them. So while in Ketu there's a theme of obliteration of what try to obliterate us, in Mercury, the reason why it rules friends from a neutral perspective is because it's where we gain positive connections. We gain positive but neutral and thus unthreatening connections that are valuable to us. We get a friend circle as opposed to the circle of abuse that we have suffered in childhood. See, some nakshatras inherently have more freedom and more ease that they come into as they're born, unless they receive afflictions. So there will be nakshatras such as sun or the moon primarily, because the sun nakshatras come from the stage of Venus, where they come into blessings, and the moon nakshatras come from the stage of sun, where they also come from blessings. So again, unless there is an affliction on the moon in those nakshatras, you will have some sort of area of life that's pretty much effortless to you. It can be psychological, emotional, it can be money, it can be whatever house the planets. And the way it works is so funny is that you can actually receive abuse in other areas of your life, but with those nakshatras you can still have the advantage. So for instance, even if your parents are abusing emotionally, they will still be stable financially to the point that you don't have to work hard for survival, right? But certain nakshatras inherently just come with certain baggage, and Mercury is just one of them. The reason being that, like I said, it follows Saturn. So while we look at things such as skills, communication, neutrality of friendships, and local trips with Mercury, they are all also the result of us trying to break away from that Saturnian hard grasp that we have experienced before. And so as a result, we develop these positive things in a way almost as a coping mechanism, because Mercury represents getting even. It represents that moment where at least we have enough perspective of freedom that we are able, through our own effort, to overcome something and add positivity to our lives enough so that we can liberate ourselves from negative attachments. Mercury also represents attachment, and one of the difficulties here is feeling karmically linked even to those that have harmed us. But again, that's why Mercury represents neutral friendships, because when you have a lot of friends around you, or even a good friend group, you can actually even supersede your family with them, right? And that is the point, to supplant the negative trauma bonds that we might be forced into our lives with bonds that actually can contribute positively to our development. And that is what Mercury is trying to do. The reason why these bonds can be more friend-based and superficial is because at this stage we still don't really have the confidence to go into intimacy. Mercury is very strategic, and in a way the friendships we build with this planet are part of a strategy to liberate ourselves. So the friendships we have here, they have an element of mutual self-interest, and there's nothing wrong with it, because we do want friends that are useful to us and that we are useful to, right? Who needs friends that you have nothing in common with, or you can even have a good conversation with? We ditch those, right? So because of this duality, of Mercury, that the positive comes from the negative, there's an inherent understanding of our journey and where we ended up, and being able to achieve certain balance. That is why Mercury is very happy in Virgo, which some people associate also with the karmic influence of the South Node, because Mercury here has the ability to objectively cut ties with things that no longer serve it and instead create new things through positive mutual exchanges.